Hello everyone. Today we will be an interview with Dr. Murat Kayacan, and we will talk about what are the ongoing impacts of COVID pandemic on economies and financial markets. Firstly, I want to say to you, welcome, Mr. Kayacan, our channel. Thank you for joining to us. How are you?
Fine, thanks. It'll be my pleasure actually to be with you in that moment because there are plenty of things supposed to be talked, and it's good to have that kind of chances to reach up to the full media or at least some the followers of your channel. So the topic is pretty good. If you let me, I'm going to speak about those issues with your permission.
Yes, everything thanks to you, actually. Our topic,
All right.
we will share and we will ask to you our topics, and then you said that topics we will decide. We decided our topics. Thank you for everything. Thanks to you.
All right. So let's get back to the point then. When you look at the story, actually, 20th, right? This year, at the month of March, we saw the plenty of pandemic, let's say, cases. The pandemic, the COVID-19. There's another story regarding why we are calling that as a COVID-19, but the story is that pandemic actually is a kind of rehearsal. I mean, when you look at the history of humankind, what you're going to see at 1920s, there was a big Hispanic pandemic. They called it like that. And almost 50 million people died after that crisis, that pandemic. So as far as I understand, the contagion effect in the one that I already referring, the Hispanic pandemic, was so, let's say, horrible one. Plenty of people lost their lives. But when you compare with that one, I mean, the one that we are in now, it's not that much, let's say, achy. Of course, every soul, every people that we lost is a problematic issue. I mean, none of our friends, none of our peoples, hopefully that will not be ending with that achy result. I mean, losing life is not something not to be bothering, not, at least escaping from bothering. But the problem is the amount of the people that we lost, comparing with the Hispanic one, is so less. When you come up to the economic side of the story, what you're going to see, sure, at the beginning of the crisis, in March, I'm talking about it, none of the people are expecting that. None of the people were expecting that the economical situation will be that much drastic. Because whenever we saw the numbers are getting up in terms of that toll, the governments decided to preserve people in homes, as you remember, while we were together in the March times of the epidemic. So whenever we saw that, at the beginning, it was so not that much achy because, you're just quitting to go to the job. None of the people are forcing you to come up to the job, at 8 o'clock a.m., let's say. And also, it could be for the youngsters, actually, the ones that begin to their careers, not earlier, of course, newly, they just begin to get the joy of being at the home. But at least 10 or 12th day, people began to be bothered. I mean, they are supposed to be bizarre because they want to see around, they want to go out, they want to buy something. All kind of habits, the classical, actual normal habits, supposed to be somehow cancelled, right? Whenever you cancel your ordinary standards, ordinary reactions, what you see, what you understand is being in a home in that long time is supposed to be so miserable, could be miserable. Because when you look at the other side of the story, you're somehow earning your cash. You're working and you're earning your cash, and all of a sudden your company forced to be closed down. Your company is not producing anything because you're not in the home, you're not in the working place. So that plenty of companies, at least 200,000 company, I'm talking about Turkish, let's say, economy, somehow closed their doors, and people, of course, according to the governmental, let's say, rules, they just announced that none of the companies are not being allowed to lose any job. People supposed to be keep up in the business environment, and that's good let's say, move when you look at the workers side of the story. But when you come up to the, let's say, business owners side of the story, business owners began to cry because they were not producing, but they're under the obligation to sack none of the people, and also they are supposed to be paid something. And at that time, I'm talking about Turkish government's reaction. Government said that you're not going to be under the obligation to pay all these salaries. You're supposed to pay some, let's say, 10 or 20% of that salary. I'm gonna pay for every people. You're not gonna pay anything at all. You're just gonna pay electricity, some other, let's say, maintenance fees. That's some kind of, let's say, remedy for business owners. But whenever you like it, or whatever you like it, but the question is, how many of them, after the pandemic, somehow lost its burden? Somehow, let's say, in the beginning of June, some of the companies began to work and let the people come back to the working places. Don't think that there will be reaching some amount of production compared with the last year's performance of all those companies. So that tremendous, let's say, epidemic cost the world economy so much. Whenever you look at it, to the growth of the GNPs, let's say, when you look at the graphics, what you're going to see, US in current, let's say, or last, let's say, 3 months performance, when you look at the US 3 months performance in terms of GNDP, what you're going to see, 33% of loss. Can you imagine? We are talking about US, and US has got, as you know, highest GNP number throughout the world. It is $21 trillion. When you look at, when you compare with that number with China, China is $14 trillion. These are the before the epidemic has been eroded or has been somehow heightened. The numbers I'm going to giving you. The US GNP lost 33% of their, let's say, GNP number. So that if it is the rate, if it is the case for US, when you look at the European case, at least 15% lost also European GNP we are seeing. So whenever GNP is getting down, what you're going to see, unemployment rates is getting high. So people are losing their job. Whenever the country's GNPs is getting down, what you're going to see, also the unemployment rates are hiking. Why? Because people are losing their job. So the current situation after the June, what we saw, economy is somehow reshaped and somehow jumped in some level, but that level never gonna be the let's say 1999 last year's performance level. So that what we are gonna see, huge discrepancies, huge loss of business, huge loss of working places, not just in US, also in Turkey, also in European countries. There are some exceptions. Let me talk about that exceptions. China. China is eager to move further. China is not losing any percent of her GNDP. Actually, 3.2% is the amount that Chinese GNP last quarters jumped above. So some of the countries like Turkey, we're not losing our GNP. We are trying to somehow not doubling, but we are trying to keep up our GNPs, and we are trying to add up some on those GNP numbers. So let me somehow pile up what I'm saying. March 22, what we saw, a huge, immense epidemic. It has got a contagion effect throughout the world. In every part of the world, somehow faced a problem, lives lost, but not as much as what we saw in Spanish epidemic in 1920s. So after 3 months, in June, people began to get back to the work. Doors are open for the, let's say, ordinary marketplaces. Of course, as a result, companies lost cash, but the states lost their taxation power. Normally, supposed to be the better numbers of taxation as an income for the states are being expected at the beginning of the year. But after the epidemic, taxation income of the states somehow lost. What did the states react? How come they react to that fact? They press cash. What does it mean? It means that they are increasing amount of the cash in the circulation. Whenever you increase the cash in the circulation, what you're going to see? Inflation. Because the money that you're using to buy and sell is losing the value. So whenever you saw that the Turkish lira's value is getting down, whenever the Turkish lira is getting down, what you're going to see? US dollar or other, let's say, foreign countries' cash gain value. So now American dollar and TL parities are suffering from that fact. Turkish lira is losing value. I'm just quitting my words in a bit, and I'm just turning my face to your questions, sweetie. Do you have any extra question, or I'm going to going on my way? Should I?
Actually, your ideas are very beneficial for our watcher.
I'm continuing.
Yes, it is enough because if video is very long, we have some problem to at our site, and then it's enough. Thank you for
technical
your
problems.
Yes. Edit our video. It is our site. If video is very long, it's enough. But I want to continue in another video our interview if you want. Yes, I think some problem in our internet, so I have to close our video, and the end is in our review and interview. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for watching us. See you later again.